Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is one of the most beloved actors of our time. His energy, smile, and personality are all magnetic, but a big reason why people are drawn to him has to do with how he treats others. In this video, I will break down 4 things that Dwayne does that make him instantly charismatic. The great thing is that you can do these 4 things too. The first thing I'd like to point out is that Dwayne assumes familiarity with the people he's talking to. He frequently speaks with people as if they are longtime friends, even when they just met.
Peaceful spot.
I'm glad you're here, man. You know, I don't have anybody ever come out.
I'm honored.
You can see how Dwayne's statement bridges the gap with the interviewer and makes him feel special and connected. One specific way Dwayne assumes familiarity is by addressing people by name.
If you think about it, Zach, I think a convergence, Zach, of... Well, Speedy, let me give you context. Juju, it's crazy. And he was loved, Juju.
This is such a small and simple thing to do, and when it isn't overdone, it builds incredible rapport. Dale Carnegie says, "A person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language." See, people want to feel like they're being heard, and remembering someone's name that you just met shows them that you're listening to them. This goes beyond just someone's name, though. If you make a habit of listening actively and remembering little things that someone says in conversation, people will notice, and it will mean way more to them than you probably realize. In this interview, the interviewer even picked up on this and asked Dwayne about it.
You and I have just met. We don't really know each other, but you definitely have already learned the name of my son.
Yes.
The name of my wife.
Yes.
You've saluted my father on his retirement. How are you like this? Where does that come from?
So, the next time you meet someone new, greet them like you would a friend and show them that you're listening by recalling their name and little things they bring up in conversation. Here's another thing you'll notice with Dwayne. He often repeats back the last few words that someone said before continuing with his own thought.
That's the best, right?
Yes, it's the best.
Didn't want you to do it?
He didn't want me to do it.
Tough place to be in as a 14-year-old.
As a 14-year-old, right?
This does 2 powerful things. First, it makes the person feel good because it validates what they just said. And second, it helps the conversation flow naturally. It's sort of like the conversational equivalent of handing off a baton in a race. It creates a point of contact between another person's thoughts and yours.
Just a hot dog swallowed whole.
And a hot dog swallowed whole.
We all want to feel like our ideas and thoughts are valid, and repeating back what someone says is one way to give them that validation. Repeating what someone says is a form of mirroring. We naturally gravitate towards people who mirror us, either physically or verbally or both. You can do this to build genuine rapport with the person that you're talking with. Here's a case where Dwayne takes 3 words that Jimmy Fallon said, "I'm so happy," and uses those words at the start of several sentences in a row, a rhetorical device called anaphora. Check it out.
So happy.
Yes, I'm so happy.
So happy they got a deal.
I'm so happy for our actors. I'm
Yes.
so happy for our SAG, my fellow SAG members. I'm so happy that we're back. And for the crew.
Like all points in this video, the trick is not to overdo it. You don't want to sound like a parrot just repeating everything someone says. But do this a few times in a conversation and watch how it draws in the person you're speaking with. You might be surprised. This brings us to the third thing that Dwayne regularly does, which is that he expresses gratitude wherever possible. In this clip, Jimmy Fallon asks Dwayne about a relief fund he created for the victims of the wildfire in Maui.
In light of the recent wildfires in Maui, you and Oprah started the People's Fund of Maui.
Yes.
And how has the fund been able to help those affected by the fire?
Now, in a situation like this, where somebody is asking you about something that you have every right to take pride in, it is very easy to make it all about yourself. To talk about all the energy and time you invested into the project, how you helped all of these people with your project. You. Dwayne could have done that, but he didn't. Here's what he said instead.
The fund has been really incredible, and I thank you guys for your love and your prayers.
He starts by immediately putting the focus not on himself, but on the audience, on others. He says, "Thank you for the love and prayers." He goes on to continue spreading his gratitude and praise.
Just want to take a moment just to shout out the Bob Woodruff Foundation, shout out PayPal stepped up in a big way, our friends at Ancestry, all of you guys. So I just want to say thank you.
When you express gratitude often, it shows that you don't take people for granted. And when you don't take people for granted, it shows that you don't need anything from them. It's really this utter lack of neediness that makes gratitude such an attractive quality. It subtly communicates that your cup runneth over, that you have more than enough for your needs. Dwayne also expresses gratitude in smaller ways too. When most people are asked a question in an interview, for example, they will tend to just dive right into their answer. Dwayne does something else. If he likes a question, he frequently starts his response by saying, "Thank you."
Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that question.
Another way Dwayne expresses his gratitude is by saying, "I love that question."
I love that question. I love that you asked that. Man, I love this question. That's a great question. I love the question.
In general, try to go out of your way to say thank you. Find things that you're grateful for and verbalize them. We often keep things we're grateful for to ourselves, but every time you express your gratitude out loud, it adds a lightness to the conversation that can be magnetic. Okay, one final way that Dwayne uplifts those around him is he spontaneously hypes people up in front of others. We all like a compliment, but when someone gives us a compliment in front of others and the compliment feels truly sincere, it can disarm us. In this interview, Jimmy Fallon is telling a story of a time he met Dwayne's mom at a New Year's Eve party and stopped dinner to create a funny photo op for her. Dwayne interrupts him with a compliment, and he leads with two powerful phrases that you can use anytime you want to hype someone up in front of others.
So I was going to say, let me say, though, because he's never going to say this.
When people hear he is never going to say this, but they can tell a compliment is coming. This phrase implies that Jimmy is a great person, but too humble to acknowledge it himself, which is a compliment in and of itself. Dwayne continues.
I want you guys and everyone around the world now watching, here's an example of the kind of guy he is.
Here is an example of the kind of person he is another great phrase you can use to lead into a compliment. Both "he is never going to say this but" and "here's an example of the kind of person he is" are great phrases on their own, but they also build anticipation. The audience wants to know, what is the thing they would never say? What is the example of the kind of person this is? This is a great thing to do right before telling a story. I'll do a deeper dive on storytelling in a later video. One final thing to note from this example is that Dwayne finishes the story by reinforcing his main point, which is that Jimmy is a good guy.
So, dude, it gives you an example of what a good guy this guy is. I really
5:30.
appreciate it. Yeah.
And there you have it. 4 things you can do to instantly draw people towards you. Assume familiarity, repeat back the last few words before speaking, express gratitude frequently, and spontaneously hype people up in front of others. Now, these examples are all from interviews, but that doesn't mean you can only use them if you're being interviewed or if you're famous. If you make these 4 things a habit, they will transform your conversations in any situation and leave people around you with a great impression of you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching.